Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello students, welcome to Swayam Prabha channel 15. The course title is Human Resource Management and the lecture title is Performance Appraisal. This is module 11, lecture 2. I am Dr. Shoma Singh Gupta, Associate Professor Commerce, Kamla Nehru College, University of Delhi. In this module, we will discuss the two topics, methods of performance appraisal and potential appraisal. The methods of performance appraisal can be divided into two categories, traditional method and modern methods. So we will begin with the traditional methods. The first traditional method is confidential report, and this type of confidential report method is generally used in government organization. It is a report prepared by the employee's immediate superior, and he covers certain things like his strengths and weaknesses, achievements and failures, personality, behavior. So here the superior is just writing a report in a free essay form about his subordinate. So that is confidential report, and it is not shown to the employee also. So that's why it is confidential. The advantage is it is simple to administer. The disadvantage is it is subjective. No feedback is provided to the employee. Focus is on evaluating rather than developing the employees. So it is considered as a primitive kind of method, but it is still used in government organizations. Next is free form or essay method. This is quite similar to confidential report, but it is a broader one where you are writing an essay kind of thing. Appraiser is required to write down his impression about the person being appraised in an unstructured way, and that's why it can be called as an essay. The rater rates the employee in terms of some broad categories like his overall impression of the employee's performance, promotion scope of the employee, strengths and weaknesses of the employee, training and development assistance required by him. The advantage is trainer does not require any kind of training. He has to just write an essay. But the disadvantage is, since it is an essay with no objective basis, it can be biased and subjectivity will also be there. Appraisal also depends upon the writing ability of the evaluator, and this is also very difficult to compare. Two evaluators may be writing two different types of essay, and it is a very time consuming process as well. The third traditional method is straight ranking. Here the evaluator assigns relative ranks to all the employees in the same work unit doing the same job. So the employee are ranked from the best to the poorest on a trait or set of traits or on the basis of his overall performance. The relative position of an employee is reflected in his numerical ranking, or for example, 5 persons are there, A, B, C, D, E, and they may be ranked say 2, 3, 4, 1, 5. So the D is the best, and then A followed by B followed by C, and the last one is E. So this is the simple or straight ranking method. Advantage is oldest and simplest method, less time consuming, but disadvantage is it involves bias and snap judgments because clear cut traits are not given to the rater. Difficult to when a large number of persons are to be rated. Ranking 5 people is not a problem, but when so many people are there, it is very difficult to rate them and rank them. Does not tell how much better or worse a person is than the another. So you cannot say whether D, even if he is best, how much best in comparison to A. So that is the problem with straight ranking method. Another one is paired comparison method. So it is a modification of straight ranking. a little more logical also. So here, for every trait or set of traits, each employee is compared with all the others in pairs, one at a time. So if there are say 5 people, then each one of them will be paired with first the all other 4, and in each pair you will find out who is better. So the number of times an employee is judged better than the others determine the ranks. Now how many pairs then? The number of comparisons you can find out through a formula, that is n, that is number of employees who are being appraised. Bracket, in bracket you can write n minus 1. So n multiplied by n minus 1 divided by 2. The whole is divided by 2. So you can find out how many pairs will be there. So if there are 5 employees, so it will be 5 multiplied by 4 by 2. So it is like 10 pairs will be there. Suppose there are 5 employees to be rated on 2 traits. A chart can be shown, and possible comparison for every trait, it will be shown in the chart, and that will be prepared. For each trait, a better employee is indicated as a plus sign. Then the number of times an employee is rated better are added up, and the ranking is done. So the advantage is it is easy to administer and simple, subjective, but the problem is subjective and tedious when the number of employees to be rated is large. So if there are 1,000 employees, then the number of pairs will be much more, and it will be difficult to conduct this type of method. We will show an example of this in the next slide. So here you can see in these 2 slides how they are the rank rating is calculated. So 5 employees are there and they are compared with all the others. So each one is compared with 4 more, and each time a pair is winning, a plus sign, an employee is winning in that pair, a plus sign is provided, and all these are added together to find out their points finally, and accordingly they will be ranked. The 5th method is forced distribution method. It works on an assumption that level of employees' job performance conforms to a normal statistical distribution or a normal curve. If you have seen the normal bell-shaped curve, that is a normal curve, and they can divide all the employees in this particular chart or the curve. So predetermined percentages of rate are placed in performance categories. For example, an organization may decide that they will distribute the employees as 10% high performers, then 20% high average performers, 40% average performers, 20% low average performers, and 10% low performers. So there are 5 groups which are shown in the normal curve, from say very high performers to very low performers. Now you will take up all the employees and they will distribute. The distribution will take the form of this bell-shaped curve. The rater is required to distribute his ratings in the form of a normal frequency distribution into poor, below average, average, good, and excellent categories. So you're forcing the rater to actually divide the whole groups of employees who are group of the employee who have been evaluated in so that they fall in these 5 categories. So this is simple to understand and eliminates the rater's bias of central tendency. So you are not giving central mark to or average mark to everybody. But the disadvantage is it is a questionable assumption. It might be possible that all of them are high performer or many of them are low performer and not exactly following the normal curve, or we can say that the curve is skewed left or skewed right. So that is always possible in any organization. So the assumption that all groups of employees have the same distribution of good and poor performance is wrong. Then no explanation for why an employee is placed in a particular category. So that is another problem, and we will see the shape in the next slide. So this is the force distribution curve or a normal curve, which is dividing all the employees who are evaluated their performance into 5 categories from very poor to excellent. The sixth method is graphic rating scale. So it is a numerical scale indicating different degrees of a particular trait. The rater is given a printed form containing several characteristics relating to a personality or and performance of employee. The rater records his judgment on the employee's trait on the scale. So the advantages are, this is widely used, easy to understand, but the disadvantages, arbitrary and subjective rating, descriptive words may have different meanings. So this is the graphic rating scale, which will be shown in the next slide. So this is an example of a graphic rating scale with the gradation of from extremely poor to excellent, and different traits are there: attention, knowledge, teamwork, initiative, creative. So on the basis of these traits, what you will do, you will judge the employee on all these traits, and you will tick in the appropriate box from extremely poor to excellent. So the next method is checklist method. So a checklist is a list of traits will be there, and a questionnaire kind of thing will be there, and the rater will put a tick on the appropriate box. So a checklist is a list of statements that describe the characteristics and performance on the job. The rater checks and indicate if the behavior of an employee is positive or negative for each of the statement, totaling the yeses and nos. It is done to arrive at the total score. Sometimes points may be attached to each yes, that is weighted checklist can also be there. The advantage is elaborate and descriptive, covering different traits, but there are many disadvantages as well, because it is susceptible to again raters bias, effect of personality rather than the performance on evaluation may be there, misinterpretation in the checklist items, use of improper weights may be there, it may be time consuming and expensive, difficult to assemble, analyze and weigh several statements. So we will see a checklist in the next slide. So these are the different types of checklist method. One can be simple checklist method. There can be weighted checklist where different weights are assigned to each of the traits, or forced checklist method is also there. So three types of checklist methods can be there. Another traditional method is critical incident method. Now here, in the life of the organization and the employee in the organization, some critical incidents do take place, and how he behaved during the critical incident, that is noted, and on the basis of that his performance is evaluated later on. So the supervisor keeps a written record of critical, either good or bad events, and how different employees behaved during such events. Then every 6 months or so, the supervisor and subordinate meet and discuss using specific incidents as examples of the performance of the employee. The advantage is it supports the appraisal of hard facts, like you are actually measuring the performance on the basis of how they behave during the critical incident. Critical events can occur anytime. The rater and the ratee have to be constantly alert. So it is not a one time or one moment phenomena. You have to keep a track of the employee all the time. Ratings do not just reflect the employee's most recent performance, but also sustained performance. It throws light on the efficiencies and deficiencies of the subordinate and avoids vague impression and general remarks. But the problem is that it is very time consuming and cumbersome. It evokes a negative emotion, and critical incident, they occur infrequently. So this is critical incident method. The ninth method is group appraisal method. A group of evaluators assesses employees. They can be consisting of, the group consists of immediate supervisor of the employee, other supervisors having close contact with the employee's work, head of the department and a personal expert. So rather than a single rater, there is a group of appraiser. So the advantage is multiple evaluators, they minimizes personal bias. But the disadvantage is it is time consuming. Counter ratings may be there, so 1 plus 1 minus and it is 0, and it can be chaotic also because many evaluators are there. The last traditional method is field review method. As the name suggests, here the evaluator is conducting a kind of a research on that employee. So a training officer from the personnel department interviews line supervisors to evaluate their respective subordinates. The rater collects all the pertinent information like what is an employee doing, how can he be improved for each employee from the superior. Rater writes a report and send it to the supervisor for his approval and suggestions for modifications and all. And the advantage of this method is it is used for making promotion decisions, especially at managerial level, useful when comparable information is needed from an employee who worked in different units or locations. It relieves the supervisor from filling in all appraisal forms. Supervisor gives an adequate attention to the entire process of the HR department gets involved. Personal bias is reduced. The disadvantage is competence and sincerity of the interviewer may not be there. The method if it is not there, then the method fails to serve the purpose. Next, we will discuss the modern methods of performance appraisal. First one is assessment center method. An assessment center is a group of employees drawn from different work units. These employees work together on an assignment similar to the one they would be handling when promoted. The evaluator observe and rank the performance of all the participants. Advantage is it helps to determine training and development needs, and the disadvantage is it is very time consuming and expensive method because assessment center has to be created with group of employees and they have to be assessed, so it is time consuming and expensive. The second modern method is human resource accounting method. Here the performance is judged in terms of cost and contribution of the employees. So how much it has the cost for the employee is costing for the organization and what is his contribution. Cost of human resource consists of expenditure on human resource planning, recruitment, selection and all the other processes. Contribution of human resources is in terms of money value of labor productivity or value added by the human resources. Difference between the cost and contribution will reflect the performance appraisal or performance of the employees. So the advantage of this method is employees are treated as a resource. Emphasis is put on investment in human resource and recognizes that their contribution in the success of the organization is there. Then limitation of this method is it is not very popular method. It is still in its infancy and difficult to understand and quantify the contributions. The third modern method is behaviorally anchored rating scale or bars. It combines two methods, that is the graphic rating scale and the critical incident method. So bars are description of various degrees of behavior relating to specific performance dimension. Critical areas of job performance and the most effective behavior for getting results are determined in advance. The rater records the observable job behavior of an employee and compares these observations with bars. Employee's actual job behavior is judged against the desired behavior. So what is happening here? You know that certain critical areas are there, and for that you have created a graphic rating scale. So you are mixing the two things, and the rater is critically appraisal the performance of the employee during those critical incidents or critical areas and putting a tick on the graphic rating scale or the gradation where whatever it is there, and this is also acting as a checklist kind of thing. The advantage is it is accurate as it is done by the experts, reliable and valid. Disadvantage is it is time consuming and behaviors used are more activity oriented rather than result oriented. Another method of appraisal is management by objectives, and this is also called MBO. This is a process, a mutual goal setting process where the subordinate also is participant in deciding about the goals to be achieved at his level. So if you know, if you are the party to goal setting, then you will work hard to achieve those goals because these goals are set by you only. So it works on that philosophy. So this is a process whereby the superior and subordinate managers of an organization jointly identify its common goals, define each individual's major areas of responsibility in terms of results expected of him, and use these measures as guides for operating the unit and assessing the contributions of each of its members. So this is a definition given by George S. Ordine. It involves setting specific measurable goals with each employee and then periodically reviewing the progress made. So what is happening? Different level, multiple level goals are set, but one level of goal is whereby the subordinate is also party to setting of his own goals, and his performance vis-a-vis those goals is then measured in performance appraisal. So the MBO process is set organizational goals, defining performance targets, performance reviews and feedback. The advantage of this method is it creates an means chain. So you know the ends, you are discussing the means and applying those means to achieve the ends. There is a role clarity, everybody knows because they are participant to the goal setting, everybody knows what is expected from them. It is objective appraisal, motivation and commitment is high, management development takes place, and perfect coordination will be there. Limitations are that difficulty in goal setting because multiple level goals are there. Problems of participation is there. Sometimes the top management is not participating, sometimes the employees are not participating, the subordinates are not participating. Lack of understanding may be there. It is a time consuming and expensive process, and moreover inflexibility is also there, that once you have set the goal you have to try to achieve that only. So this is about MBO or management by objectives. Now, one of the modern method which is coming up is 360-degree appraisal. Now, it is becoming very popular nowadays. As the name suggests, performing ratings are collected simultaneously from subordinates, peers, supervisors, and employees themselves. So it is like 360-degree. From everybody, feedback is taken about the performance of the employee. The range of feedback could be extended to include other stakeholders like external customers, clients, suppliers, etc. So with whomsoever the subordinates is meeting, appraisal can be done on the basis of remarks given by those people. So they are also interviewed. So the assumption is awareness of any discrepancy between how we see ourselves and how others see us increases self-awareness. Since you are also, as a subordinate, you are also appraised, so you know your self-awareness is also there, and you get to know how people are thinking, what people are thinking about you. So it enhances self-awareness. This enhanced self-awareness is a key to maximize performance. The process of this 360-degree appraisal is data is obtained through questionnaires from all these parties, measures the behavior of individuals against the list of competencies like leadership, communication, vision, organizational skills, etc. Ratings are given by evaluators on a scale against each competency. Feedback may be provided to the individuals or to his managers. So here in this slide, you can see the diagram of 360-degree appraisal where the employee is appraised by different parties. The advantage of this method is individuals get broader perspective of how they are perceived by others, increased awareness of the need and relevance of the competencies, Development needs for individual, the department and organization as a whole are identified. Performance review becomes multidimensional. Reliable feedback about performance, desired competencies get reinforced. Individuals' real worth gets known. The limitations are frank and honest feedback is not always obtained. People feel stress in receiving or giving feedback. Feedback does not lead to the desired actions always. The guidelines to make it effective is active support and involvement of management, commitment of everybody to the process, determination by all concerned to use feedback data as the basis for development. Reliability and validity of questionnaires is tested before use. No one feels threatened by the process. Making feedback anonymous, that is important. But if you are making feedback anonymous or by getting a third party facilitator to communicate feedback, then only it can be successful. Now, as we have said that performance appraisal is not only to evaluate the performance of the person, but also to find out his potential. So what is potential appraisal then? So generally for managerial people, we do a potential appraisal to find out whether there are growth potentials or not, or we have to make provision for his further growth. So potential appraisal refers to the appraisal or identification of the hidden talents and skill of a person. The person might or might not be aware of them, or they are not utilized as yet. Potential appraisal is future oriented. Potential of employees can be judged by reviewing present performance, analyzing personality traits, re-looking at past experiences, considering age and qualifications, explaining unused knowledge and skills of an employee. Steps in the process of potential appraisal. First is role description. This is done on the basis of job description. Then find out the qualities required, technical knowledge and skills, managerial capabilities, behavioral capabilities, conceptual capabilities of the person. Then find out the indicators through indicators of qualities. Mechanism for judging these qualities are rating by others, psychological tests, simulation games, exercises, performance appraisal records. Then organizing the potential appraisal system. Feedback is provided to understand their strengths, weaknesses, and create opportunity for development. And finally, on the basis of everything, counseling and guidance is given to the employee. The advantages of potential appraisal are it identifies and evaluates the potential of the employees to assume higher positions and responsibilities in the organizational hierarchy. It advises employees about their overall career development and future prospects, helps the organization to chalk out succession plans, motivates the employees to further develop their skills and competencies, better use of human resources, improves employer-employee relations, and identifies the training needs. So to summarize, we can say the traditional methods of performance appraisal are confidential report, paired comparison test, graphic rating scale, forced choice method, critical incident method, etc. that are subjective in nature with no emphasis on development of individuals. The modern methods of performance appraisal are comprehensive and aims at development of employees such as bars, MBO and 360-degree appraisal. Potential appraisal refers to the appraisal and identification of the hidden talents and skills of the person. So the references remain the same: DeSanzo's book, Flippo and CB Gupta. Thank you, students. So this was performance appraisal, module 11, lecture 2.